everyone, for joining this meeting this morning. Um, I'm gonna try to kind of make it a little quick to honor everyone's time this morning. For all of you that do not know me, my name is Brenda Roman, and I'm the Membership and Events Coordinator here at AGC Houston. We also have some of our staff joining us today. Kyle Holland, our CEO, Charlene Anthony, our Director of Professional Development, Sharon Box, our Programs Coordinator, Chloe Frank, our Marketing Coordinator, and Catherine Morgan, our Programs Coordinator. We also have our presenters with us today. It's Ms. Lakita Morris from O'Donnell Snyder, Debbie Moore, Satterfield and Ponticus, Victoria Bukowski. I'm sorry if I chopped your name up, with Satterfield and Ponticus as well. These ladies have had plenty of experience submitting projects for our awards in the past. So therefore, we have asked them to join us here today just to give us some of their insights. Before I let them get started, for those of you that are new members to AGC and have never heard of APEX, APEX is our biannual awards gala, and APEX recognizes and honors projects that represent the highest level of excellence in construction. Our awards program will showcase the best of Houston's built environment and honor the hardworking men and women who build our community. So GCs and subs of the Houston chapter may submit any project completed between April 1st of 2022 and March 31st of 24. Projects submitted must be located in the Houston chapter territory. So those counties would include Austin, Brazoria, Brazos, Chambers, Colorado, Fort Bend, Freestone, Galveston, Grimes, Harris, Houston, Leon, Madison, Matagorda, Montgomery, Polk, Robertson, San Jacinto, Trinity, Walker, Waller, Washington, Wharton, and the west side of Liberty. Kyle, did I miss anything so far?
No, I think you're doing great.
Okay.
Counties is complicated. It's all on our website if you need to know them specifically.
Yeah. Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna kick it off with Miss Debbie Moore. She's gonna be going over the criteria for submitting.
All right, I lied, Brenda. Give me one more minute to kind of set the stage a little bit. Brenda did a great job, but I guess you all came here to learn more about the submission process. So we've done it a little differently this year than we have in past years. So if you've submitted before, you remember submitting your application with your photos, and then the judging day was an in-person judging visit to your job sites. And so it was quite the logistical coordination, both on team members' ends, on staff ends, the judges' ends. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun event, but it was a big deal. And then coming out of the pandemic, we did a completely virtual judging process. And so we did all that online through Zoom, and it worked really well, but it got us thinking, is there a better way to do this? So last year we kind of dabbled with a hybrid setup, and we kind of found this year as a trial way to try to find the best of both worlds. And so we'll let our presenters present on kind of how we're doing it this year, just because they've had a lot of experience and we've kind of prepped them on what it's going to look like this year. But at the end of this, we want you to ask questions because we want you to feel comfortable about submitting your projects. We want everybody to leave this meeting going, cool, I know what I'm doing, and if I don't, I can ask the question, but I'm submitting my project. So we don't want anybody to walk away from this going, oh, it's too much of a hassle, I'm not going to do it. It's a simple process. It's an easy process. We want your projects to be submitted so that we can judge them and we can hopefully show them off in September at the gala. So with that, presenters, take it away.
All right, Kyle, thank you very much for saying all of that, because I thought I was going to have to.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I stole your thunder, Debbie.
No. It's just that as I have submitted for APEX for many years, and I couldn't even imagine the logistics that you had to overcome to make that a successful event. So I'm just going to kind of go by as a person who submitted from that point of view. And so the submission criteria, as you know, this is all online. So everything is online, and you submit all of your you can kind of work on this and go at the same time. I highly recommend, like working in a Word document and keeping your thoughts together so you can upload them. For the submission criteria, the first thing that they're going to be judging on is a contribution to the community and or the environment, and that's worth 10%. The safety record is worth 15%. The quality of the management process is 10%. If the project was completed on time is 10. If it's completed within budget, 10%. Difficulty in construction is 15%. Uniqueness of the project, 15%. And does the project video meet the submission criteria, 15%. And when you go online, you're going to see a lot of questions, and I highly recommend that you might look at those early, because there's a lot of information that they want to gather about all the team members, and you'll need to track all of that down. You certainly don't want to be looking for that at the last minute. Also know that each of the questions has a word count limit, and you will want to be, I don't know how particular, if you're at 501 words, what the judges will do, but I would just say you're going to have to craft your answers in a way that you meet that 500 word. And then other areas, you get the option for optional comments. And so it looks like 500 is the most. I thought there was one that was over there. Yeah, 500 words. And if I were going to recommend to you how you might do this, if this is your first time to submit, is that you might want to interview your project manager, your superintendents, talk to the project team. I have found taking them to lunch sometimes is very valuable, because they like free meals and they're willing to talk about their job. And also know that some of these jobs are 2 years old, right? Because we do this every 2 years. So their memories might be a little rusty about some of the things that they did 2 years ago. And so reaching out to those, I know that what we're doing with our projects is we're actually talking to the owners and to the architects to get some additional information to answer these questions. Did I cover everything?
I believe so. I don't think you've missed anything.
I didn't go line by line, Brenda, but but I mean, I talked about, I really highly recommend that if you've never done this before, look at it, print it out, because you can do that so that you'll know what questions you need to answer and what information you're going to need to look up.
Right. Charlene, I think she covered most of it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And I think if you've done this before, Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong, the application piece of it is the same as years past. So it's nothing
Yes.
earth shattering there. That was
No.
more for anybody coming in that hasn't submitted before. I think Debbie offered some really good tips and tricks and a kind of how to wrap your mind around it so that you don't get overwhelmed. But if you've done it before, you've submitted on Apex, nothing's really changed on the application side.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions about the criteria portion?
I would add, in the past, when it's asked, she mentioned the word count in several of the questions. Try to adhere to that, because all of this will have to be edited for both the written word and spoken word. And the more words you have describing your project, the easier it makes for us when we're putting together the script for the program and the actual written program. Some folks will put, a couple of sentences, but if it's 500 words, do your best to get as close to it as possible so that we have more to work with.
Yeah, and go ahead, Debbie.
I was just going to say, the one thing that this forces me to do is that I have to be succinct and really think about what it is I want to say and how I want to capture the essence of my project and its uniqueness. And so it really forces me to be a better wordsmith with the 500 words.
Good point. So Aileen just asked in the chat, is the video portion an alternative or required? It is required, because since we are not going out to the actual job sites like we used to before in the past, this is supplementing that. Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay, great.
And I think I think Victoria's talking about that. We'll hit on a little more detail of the video as well.
Okay. Now we're gonna have Miss Lakita Morris from O'Donnell Snyder. She's gonna be talking about the photos, how to upload them, what type of photos you would want to upload, and I think maybe she's gonna share some examples of what she's done in the past.
Yes. Hi, thank you for having me here. So on the photo portion, this is kind of my favorite part of it. We are allowed to upload up to 10 photos, and I encourage everyone to utilize those 10 photos. You think that's a lot, you may not have that many finished photos, but the photos help tell your story. There are only 4 required, but again, I recommend you getting as close to the 10 as you can. Take advantage of that. The smallest size recommended is 5 meg. And again, these will be displayed at the gala. Think about what makes your project a winner when you're uploading these. And again, don't focus just on your finished photos. We want to tell our story. And the contributions of the quality of your project, those are told through your finished photos, but maybe the uniqueness of the project, maybe the difficulty in construction of the project, those are in your in progress photos, or even some before photos. If it's a renovation project, capture some of the before photos. A lot of times our pre-construction team or the teams that went out to do the initial project walk, the pre-bid, you can maybe capture some photos from that. If it's new construction, you can focus on the site. Was there difficulties on the project site? Overhead, were there, I don't know, did you have to do a lot of retention? Did you have to do a lot of site buildup to get it to that point? So, you know, we can tell our story about the difficulty and the uniqueness through our before and in progress photos. That's the finished photos kind of focus on what you want to highlight. Again, that goes back to the quality of the construction and the uniqueness and difficulty. So, you know, those 3 items, we can tell our stories through the photos. But one thing to keep in mind with your in-progress photos, run it by your safety team to make sure there's no safety violations or anything that could be perceived as a safety violation in those photos. A lot of times, you know, they are being safe, but maybe it could be perceived as a violation in the photo. So be sure and run those by your safety team. If you don't have someone that can view those, I'm sure that Kim Mason at the AGC would be more than happy to help you out with that. Did I cover enough?
That was great, Lakita.
There's some photos that
Sorry.
I did. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to, let me see I had done a full screen here. So let me pull up I'm just going to share one photo, and we actually did win a gold at the Apex on this, but it kind of tells our story. I have some in progress photos and then of course finished photos of it. Oh, it's disabled. So anyway, if anyone would like to see those, please reach out to me. I can, Brenda or Charlene or anyone can share my contact information with everyone. So if anyone has any questions or would like to see what I've submitted in the past, reach out to me.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you
great,
so much.
Lakita. I would add one more thing. I think a lot of people forget that in progress photos really tell a big story too, not just the sexy finished ones.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might be doing something that's so challenging that you really need to see the nuts and bolts of it. And so please don't, I would say at least of the 10, make 2 or 3 progress photos.
Yes.
I think that helps a lot too. Don't you think so, Lakita?
100%. And specifically for the HVAC, the electrical, the AV, all of those portions that get closed up in the walls behind the finished photos, tell you need those in progress photos or the photos that are taken prior to it being closed up and ready for occupancy.
Yeah. Yeah, great points, Lakita. Thank you so much. Okay, and now for everybody's favorite part, I got a lot of emails on this portion of the submission. It's because it is new this year, it's the video submission portion. So I think that's for a lot of you guys that did start the application process. I think that's where y'all kind of halted. So with that, I'm gonna pass it over to Victoria, and she's actually worked on her video for her submission. So she's gonna kind of give you guys some insight on that.
Okay, great. Good morning. So the video is a supplement and it's really the last thing that the judges will see. So remember that it needs to be about the project itself and not about your company. So as you're working on the video, remember the question, what makes this project special? Just keep asking yourself as you're working on it, working through the ideas. Try to tell a compelling story about a problem you overcame or some interesting details. Maybe you shipped a door in from London, or there's a wood panel that came from a very specific tree in Japan. Yes, that's from my project. And maybe there's a complex design element. So you've talked to the architect about that, or there's complex construction techniques. But remember, try not to repeat what you already put in the written portion. So this doesn't need to be professionally produced. So don't go out and spend a ton of money on a fancy videographer. It should be shot on your phone. And I personally have a Samsung S22 Ultra, but you don't need a fancy phone. We ended up shooting it on my assistant's iPhone at a little older version, but still great footage. My team also got a stabilizer for our phone, but that was just because we wanted to have it a little more stable for the tour, but not necessary. If you plan on including interview snippets from the architect, owner, project team, a tripod would be useful as well. If you want to get a snippet from, say, the architect and they don't have time to meet you in person, it is okay to record it over Teams and then include that in your video. You know, a big part of the change to the video, like we've been talking about, really is to make the process easier and easier to show off the amazing projects that we've all created. So does anyone have questions about the video?
Before we get to questions, I'll jump in and piggyback on something Victoria said, just focusing on using your cell phone, right? I think when we did the virtual judging back in 2022, I guess it was, or 2020, there was a lot of professionally produced video footage for these virtual entries, which was perfectly fine at the time and encouraged. Now we wanted to kind of strike that balance because we realized not everybody submitting on an Apex has the equal amount of resources available to do something professional like that. And so we wanted the focus of the judges, and we will reiterate this to the judges, that the production level quality of the video is not important when they're watching this video. What's important is the content of your video. What story are you telling? What elements of your project are you showing? Who are you talking to? Are you getting testimonials from an owner, an architect, a project team member describing the story? So that's why you'll look and you'll see we didn't put a ton of restrictions or details on what that video looks like, which is part of the reason for this call, is to explain that. But it's short, sweet, and impactful based on the message you're giving. So Victoria did a great job of offering some suggestions to utilize and focus on. Don't focus it on production value. Focus it on as much content as you can put in separate from the written word. Remember, they're going to read your application, then they're going to watch this video. So this video is basically replacing your ability to tour them through your job and give that sales pitch that you would. So we're trying to find that balance there. So if you got questions on the video, ask them now, but that's kind of the gist of it.
And also remember that it's only 3 minutes long. So be really concise with your story that you want to tell. Oh yeah, so McAllister, let's see, you said time limit, so 3 minutes. And then yes, you can add titles and graphics. So when we're saying don't overproduce it, that doesn't mean that you and your in-house team can't put graphics and stuff. We're just saying don't go out and spend $5,000 on a videographer who just really overproduces it and makes it look like a commercial, that kind of thing. It really should look like you made it and it's really featuring your project. Priscilla, you're asking, does the video have to be vertical or horizontal? You know, it really just depends. I mean, make it easiest for the judges to view on their computer screen. So I would say try to make it horizontal. If you have footage that ended up being, you know, vertical, just fit it in there. But like we're saying, we're not trying to restrict it. Just make it easiest for the judges to view, really.
And kind of on that note, the judges, it's going to be stressed to the judges not to focus on the production quality. So if you did a vertical selfie shot of a superintendent walking through the job site, peering over his shoulder, explaining challenges that he did, that should be just as impactful as spending it. You don't spend thousands of dollars, but if you did do something with graphics and, you know, scene changes in the elaborate video production, the judges are not going to be focused on that. They're going to be focused on what is your message and how special is your project. So just keep that in mind.
Hey, Victoria, I have a question. Just Charlene, are you using, what type of software are you using to edit? How important is that? And then can you talk maybe a little bit about the creation of a storyboard using Post-it notes to help you kind of create your message and then help you as you go forward to film?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So my team, we're going to be using Adobe Premiere Pro just because we have access. However, there are many different options online. Canva also has a free video editing side to theirs that you can use. There's a lot of free options online. So like we're saying, don't focus on the production aspect, just getting your video together. As to storyboarding, how I did it, I didn't use Post-it notes, but I did use a Word document, and I put the question, why is our project special? And I broke it out to, you know, from the architect's aspect, from maybe the owner's aspect, and then from the project team. And then I kind of I interviewed all of them to really get more knowledge about the project itself. And we made bullet points and we pulled out the most relevant information. So for our project, you know, some interesting elements were how it was designed. We used very complex techniques of building inside out and top to bottom. You know, it was really because of how it was built. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about is the complex design techniques. And we're going to hone in on that. But I was able to get there by kind of pulling it out and then interviewing people and getting more information, if that makes sense. And then what was that last part of your question, or you wanted to know about storyboarding and
yeah, could you talk a little bit about that and how helpful that can be to create a storyboard? You know, and it doesn't have to be involved. You can use Post-it notes.
Right. You could even use Post-it notes, but the biggest thing is get your ideas out in front of you so that your very short 3-minute video is very concise, very clear message of what you want to put out there. It's so beneficial to really have it fully planned out in front of you instead of just kind of winging it. You know, before you go out there and maybe shoot something, have a plan of what you're looking for. So we toured our job and we already knew some special elements. And so we specifically wanted to capture those and really hone in on that for parts of our video. So it's super beneficial to really get heavy into the planning, and then that'll help it all come together.
And I think you have, Victoria, you have a couple more questions in the chat from Michael and Monica.
So let's see, Michael said, what if we don't have access to the project to shoot video of this space? That's fine as well. What you can use as well, it would be, you can use still photographs in your video. If there was a drone footage, we can't use the drone footage because, you know, we want to keep the playing field level, but you could use a screen grab from the drone footage. Something, you know, something that shows the inside. If you don't have project photography, if you have in progress, something that tells your story. So maybe you don't have, if you don't have access to the space, look back on that in progress stuff and really tell the story from that angle. Use whatever material you have to really tell that story that you want to tell.
Michael, I would add on to that. If you don't have access to the project space, that makes your 10 photos that you're submitting, because don't forget, everybody's got 10 photos that you're submitting. So try to keep your photos on that 10 photo submission. And I would focus on your project team interviews, right? Get your superintendent to talk and tell the story. Get your owner or your architect, if you have access to them, to give a testimonial about the challenges that they dealt with, or the, how impressed they are, what the project does for the, like anything that makes that project special. Sometimes our owners and our architects are the best ones to be able to do that. So if you don't have access to the space, totally fine. Shift your focus maybe to like, how are you telling that story verbally with people in your video is what I would suggest there, rather than the photo side, because you're going to submit those photos anyways.
Exactly. And another thing is too, so we've got Teams as an option if you want to interview people. You can also have the audio apps on your phone that can record. We have someone, the architect, she's in town right now, but we're not going to be able to, we're going to be sailing ships, passing. And so she actually lives in Florida. And so she's going to record her piece as an audio on her phone and email it to me. And then we're just going to use that as a voiceover on across either some footage or a picture. So there's options, there's a lot of technology out there, but there are options. Monica, you said, are there sample videos? Yeah, at this time, we don't have a sample video. Sorry, Monica.
Yeah, I was supposed to do that, but I figured y'all didn't want to see me talk about the AGC building in it. But next year we'll have sample videos, because all y'all are going to submit great videos for it to show.
Does
Again,
everyone feel like we kind of answered your questions on videos, or anybody still feel a little bit apprehensive about something with the videos?
I'll offer this. Please don't let the video scare you away from submitting. I think I really want to stress the importance of the content of the video. If you share a quick story, it's a 3-minute limit, but it doesn't have to be a 3-minute video. If you can tell a really impactful story, with a video footage of a finished element of the building, or even just an interview of a project team member, that can be really impactful for telling what sets your project apart from others. So don't feel like you have to go all 3 minutes and you have to do, Victoria offered some great suggestions, but you don't have to take all that. There's such a range. We tried to narrow that range down as best we could to keep it from being overburdensome for people, but the focus of the judges is going to be on the content of your video, not the production level quality. So just please keep that in mind. Don't let that scare you away.
And it really is a lot easier than you think.
Tell your story as best you can. So this is, again, replacing that in-person project walk that we would have done in previous years. So intended to simplify the process and still allow some creativity and sharing a special story for the judges. So focus on content, not production quality.
Well, there was a question about category, where to submit their project. And it was, I think, an HVAC subcontractor was asking where, because there's not a specific category for that work. And my opinion would be MEP engineering portion.
For HVAC, yes.
Yeah, the specialty contractor category for HVAC, I would submit in the MEP engineering portion.
Yeah, I think I would say so as well. Okay, anybody else have any other questions, whether it be criteria, photos, video? Okay, well, just so everyone knows, the deadline is fast approaching. The deadline for the submissions is May the 3rd by noon. And then payment has to be completed by 5 p.m. that same day. Also, I just wanted to let everyone know that judging will be happening, as you all know, virtually, and that will be from May 17th to May 24th. So, after that, shortly after that, we're going to sit down and go over everything, tally everything, and then you'll be receiving an email from me, just letting you know if your project won an award.
And I'll add something. Brenda said virtual judging. To be clear, it's an offline judging process. So there's no required virtual meeting of the judges. We will give the judges all the applications, all the videos, all the pictures and everything. They will be reviewing all the applications. They will be submitting their scoring. We will be tallying the scores. So we will announce probably a little judging kickoff day where we officially invite them in and send them on their merry way back to their houses or computers or wherever to make their judging, to review the applications. But there will be no formal judging day like there has been in the past, whether in person or virtual. So.
Yeah.
Brenda, when can we expect that email from you letting us know that we may have won an award?
Oh, the
Sorry.
pressure, the pressure.
You skipped over that date.
See,
There just in case we needed some more time. But I would say, I don't know, maybe the first week in June, maybe, just to give us some time.
because we're all going to be on
I
Pinterest.
know.
So to find out.
I know.
That's right.
That's why I was trying not to give a date, but I'm gonna say we're gonna shoot for the first week in June.
Posted that one.
We're excited about this. So
Awesome. So are we. And the date for, I mean, I hope everybody knows, for the actual gala will be September 27th, and it will be at the Houstonian again this year. Okay. Awesome. So anybody else have any questions? Any AGC staff? Did I miss anything, or do y'all want to touch on anything before we wrap up?
So I have a question. So if we're going to submit, say, a project in multiple categories, I'm not sure if that would be applicable. Is the $400 entry fee for each category it's submitted in?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great question.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, awesome. If you do think of something later on down the line, please feel free to reach out to either myself, Charlene, Kyle, any of the AGC staff. So thank you guys. And I'm so sorry for the interruption earlier. I really don't know what happened there. But thank you guys. And like I said, we're here to help. So if y'all have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us.
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, ladies.
thank you.